Okay, I've seen some discussion on what two flutes sound good together. Um, there's a lot of back and forth in opinions, and any two flutes can sound good together. I don't care which ones they are, you pick them and you can make them sound good together. But I just thought rather than try to do a tutorial, I'll just kind of demonstrate some of the things that happen when you have two flutes. And then you can decide what sounds best and what doesn't. And so I've laid out here an artificial flute, a synthesizer, and I put in some notes here. I'm doing this so that graphically you can see what's taking place. This is an A natural minor, and I'll let you hear that. Okay, so most people, or I should say a lot of people, play just the pentatonic scale. So just to keep it with that, I'm going to take out the notes to make it so it is a pentatonic. Most of the time when I play, I use the natural minor. Um, but I use whatever note sounds good too. I don't lock myself into a certain scale. All right, so I'll make this a little slower so that you can hear the notes a little longer. So here's the minor pentatonic scale using a synthesized flute. I had a chord in the background there. This will just be the flute itself. Okay, so the ones that I hear as being, compatible together would be the flutes that play a fourth or a fifth above the melody flute. So, without getting into music theory a lot, in your scale, each note is considered a scale degree. So, if you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, which is a natural minor, then you just count one for each one. So A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, and D is 4. So a D minor flute. All right, so this is the same scale here, only stacked so that I have reference points and I don't make mistakes. It's early in the morning and I'm still trying to clear the cobwebs. So I'm going to take this A minor scale and just move it up to a D. And I'm sure you would all agree that you play a D minor pentatonic on the same way on every flute you pick up. So I just slide it up to a D. All right, so what I want to do here now is take this note here, the D, and let's just hear how it sounds across the pentatonic scale. And obviously one of the notes is going to be a duplicate right here, so can't play two of the same notes on a synthesized flute or a real flute either, but you'll be able to hear each individual note as it plays against the melody flute. So sort of like a drone. Let's take a listen. So you tell me. Does that sound good? Does that sound good? Obviously that will. Does that sound good? So if you have two flute players playing together, it's conceivable that they could be playing a D while the other flutist is playing any one of these notes. That's why I put the droning D, so I could compare D to each note. In my opinion, this doesn't sound good. There's a use for that sound, but not in what we're doing. That also is not sounding real good. And if you notice, they're only one step apart. And usually when you're making a chord, chords and harmony, okay? Harmony is based on chords. You make chords in a specific formula. If you take like a major scale, you would take every other note, so that would put them more than one step apart, because you skip and each note is, well, each note isn't. There's two that are only half steps, but you can't just go to the next note and expect it to sound good, and that's what's occurring right here. So does that sound good? That's up to you. I'm just demonstrating. So let's get rid of those. Now let's try the next possible combination if two people were playing together. Okay, there. We don't have a duplicating note there anywhere. And again, I'm using the pentatonic scale here as a reference, so you can see that it's right on. Now let's hear these possible combinations with two flute players. I'll let them play. Well, let's do it manually here. Does that sound good? Does that sound good? These two notes here are only a half step apart. Okay, let's go on up. So the next one is the G. So let's do the G here. Got a duplicate note here and a G here. So how does that sound together? Okay, so you be the judge. I can tell you that this one right here is only one step apart. I didn't think it sounded particularly good. The rest of them were pretty sweet at times. Let's go to the A note. Obviously the A is an octave, it'll be fine. So we'll just see how this goes, and the last one be a duplicate. Let's hear that. Even these two together sound kind of good in the context of that particular combination of notes, in my opinion. So let's go to the next one, and let's take these notes and get them out of here. Let's go up to the C. think? Let's go to the next one, which would be the D. That is a D, so that's that for that one. So now let's experiment with the fifth. So that was the fourth. So the fifth would be E. Now we've got an E minor pentatonic for reference right here. So let's do the E note. Make this a little longer. We got the duplicate there. So here we go. This would be a fifth here. The first one would be a fifth apart, and we'll just see the combinations of notes here. Now to me, there was just one that didn't sound real good right here. I'm just trying to pick up the pace a little bit. This is for you to decide whether you think it sounds good. Here's the next one up, which would be a G. And we heard the G before. There's a lot of overlapping notes as you go up the different flutes. Take a listen to this. Okay, we've heard that already. So the next one is A. And I think we've heard that one already before too. Seems like notes that are a half step or one step apart don't sound particularly pleasing. Now we've got a B in the picture here, looks like. So let's put the B over here. We haven't heard this before. Let's hear how it sounds. So those, the next one is a D, which we've already done down lower on the fourth. So let's stop right there. So what I heard, I'm just giving you my opinion. What I heard was that each one of the notes of each, the fourth and the fifth apart flutes, each note had the potential to clash with one or more notes in the melodic scale. And then that was true of each note. Each note put against the possible notes in the melody scale. Each time you put a note with that, it has a potential to be bad. So if you've got two flute players playing together and they happen to hit those two notes, it's not going to sound real good. Just my opinion. But this is for you to judge. I'm just telling you, it doesn't sound real good to me. One or two of each one of those comparisons had a kind of an oddball sound. Some of them were just downright sour. So can you play the two flutes together? Yes. And it can sound real good, but it can also sound real bad. So without getting into a whole bunch of music theory, I want to show you something here. I'm going to make this back into a natural minor. So here's your natural minor. Oops, I need to move all these over and put a B right there. There we go. Let's make sure it's a natural minor. Okay, so natural minor. So when you make a chord, you take your A and then you skip a note and skip a note. So the first note would be a C if you start with the A, C, and then an E. So let's just work with that three. Now that's a third apart, right? Okay. So your first note would be here. Doesn't sound too bad. Okay, so let's do just a smidgen of music theory. The A natural minor scale is the Aeolian mode of C major. C major and A minor are relative major and minor, meaning they share exactly the same notes. And it's pretty well known that you can play an A minor flute and it sounds good in C major. So let's put the Ionian scale with the A minor scale and see how it sounds. So the Aeonian is alphabetical starting with C. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Let's hear that. So, if I wanted to harmonize with an A minor flute and have it sound nice and sweet, I could take a C minor flute and play the major scale on it, which isn't hard to do. And guess what? Sounds good together, huh? So anyway, just a little smidgen there of music theory and what it can do for you. There's also, just as an experiment, let's take if you take every other note, you got A and a C and E, let's do the E major scale over this just one more time just to see if it's going to sound good. And my guess would be it will, because it's using the same notes as the C major scale, and it's also adhering to the every other note idea. But let's try it and see. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. And this is a fifth apart here. And as you go up, every other note is the same for D. It's those three notes there, the B, the D, and the F. So it's every other note for each one. So this would again be the fifth. Let's take a listen. Okay, so in a simple approach, you can harmonize a given note by playing a fifth above it. So that's where the idea of the fifth note comes in, but you got to be careful because not all of these notes are going to sound together, sound good together. Let's take this D note, for instance. Let's put the D over the, I don't know, let's pick E. Let's put a D over an E. So this is, that's quite a ways apart, but let's put a D over E and see how it sounds. Ah. Let's put it closer. Okay, so what do I take away from that? What I take away is, if you're following the guidelines, I would say theory is kind of like guidelines. It's not really rules, because you can break any rule you want to and still get away with it. But anytime you have a harmony situation, you got to be careful which of those notes you put together. So all that means is you start up with your harmonizing flute, you may have to adjust flat or sharp a little bit, because with harmony you always want your notes to be part of a chord that is formed from that scale. So that's, that's about as far into music theory as I want to get. You can play two flutes together, and any two flutes, some of the notes will sound good together, some will be questionable, and some just won't sound good. It depends on which two notes you play together. If you play up the scale together, you can do pretty good. But I think I've demonstrated how it sounds, so it's up to you. Do you want to play a harmony line with a C flute, playing along with an A flute, or a G flute? I don't know. You can pick the flute, you can find the right notes. But if you just want to play together, you just need to be aware that not all two notes are going to sound especially good. And that's my 38 cents worth, and I've tried to demonstrate with sound and visual graphics the idea of harmonies and how they can work. They can make discord, they can make consonants. It just depends on how you put them together, and that's the stuff of songwriting. So anyway, I hope it's helpful to some, and if you've got any questions at all about this, I'll be happy to try and answer it. I am not a music scholar. I know enough theory that I try to learn what kind of the theory that applies to the music that I make. That's the theory that I try to learn. I'm not well versed in orchestrational composition and all that. I'm starting to get into that area a little bit, but I'm not well versed. So there might be a question or two that I can't answer, but the basics of harmony, I can answer just about any question, because I've been doing it since I was 5 years old. So anyway, there you go. For what it's worth, for the good of the order, there's a whole bunch of ways to say it. I appreciate you taking time to listen. Hope you got something out of it. Bye-bye.